Hi, I'm Brian.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Just here to give a quick update on our mini split. If you watched our last video, we had our issues with the mini split through the summer that are documented, and I'll leave some links to a couple videos there. But we tried to use our heat recently. It's getting pretty chilly out here. We're outside, it's a little chilly.
Very cloudy.
And the heat on the mini split didn't work. So, I called the manufacturer, I called the guy that I installed it myself, but I called the guy who kind of started it up, let's say, right? He's got the gauges and pump and all that stuff. So we have gotten it fixed now. It's interesting that we're not doing this in the trailer where it's now warmer, but it's a little dark in there, so.
We needed a change of scenery.
Yeah, got the greenhouse behind us. Happy Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving. But just to share a little bit of what I learned now, I'm no expert, and if somebody out there knows otherwise from what I say, feel free to comment and correct me if I get this wrong. But what I learned about the mini split system is I learned a couple things. So when it wasn't producing heat, we got down to 29?
40. Oh.
Well,
inside the
29, 30 outside
39
for a couple of days, and we were waking up to basically about 10 degrees warmer than that. So we actually, 39 I think was the lowest I saw. This is inside the trailer, so we got pretty chilly.
It was rough.
So the first thing I did was call the guy that had started it up for me and asked him about it, and just so I could understand and make sure it should actually be capable of heating us when it gets that cold, because all a mini split does really is move heat from one place to another. So in the winter, it will pull heat out of the outside air and bring it inside. Opposite in the summer, of course. So the question becomes, well, when it gets to a certain temperature, a certain cold, can it really pull any heat out of the air? So when I talked to the technician that I had out here, at first he said, well, it's possible, no. But he said, I guess one feature that a lot of mini splits have on them is what's called a low ambient temperature mode, and what it does is it has a little electric heating strip inside of it. So basically when it can't heat based on the outside air, it will actually heat up a little electric strip. So he asked me if it had that. I didn't know. I called the manufacturer, and my unit does not have that. Kind of the next unit up from mine does, but mine does not. So I then asked the manufacturer, I said, well, here are this situation, here's the temperature outside, temperature inside. I said, should this thing be able to heat? And they said yes. And I didn't really understand from the way they explained it, but then when my technician came out to look at it, he explained it a little better. And the key for me was when he said pressure is temperature. So basically the way
You've lost me.
The way you lost me at mini split.
Yeah.
So temperature is pressure. So the way pressure is temperature. The way it heats, yes, it does pull heat out of the outside air, and it can get a little heat out of cold air even, to a point. But another way that it makes heat is the actual, the motor inside and things actually produce heat. So what it does is it produces pressure by restricting flow of the refrigerant in the air, and the actual heat of the motor is enough to produce 100, 110, 120 degree air that it can then shoot into the trailer. So we determined that yes, the unit should be capable, so it wasn't working. So the possibilities. And another thing I learned, and this I learned from the manufacturer, and the technician confirmed it, it was always my opinion, just assuming that it would be more taxing, let's say, on the system to cool us than it would be to heat us. I thought once we got through the summer, I thought, well, the winter will be a breeze, right? No problem. It's kind of the other way around. Because pressure is temperature. I know I've kind of lost you, but because
I'm just wondering if other people, but I'm not normal, so.
Well, people who want to know about this, I think would care. I think this is basic mini split, heat pump
I'm not normal.
stuff.
we all know that.
But when you want to produce cold air, because pressure is temperature, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to produce colder air. But when you want to produce hot air, it takes much more pressure. So what I learned was the pressures can get up to 500 plus PSI when you're trying to heat. And that's much more pressure than you would have when you're trying to cool. So if there is a little leak or anything like that, that's the point is it'll show itself more when you try to heat than when you try to cool. And that surprised me. So the possibilities that they gave me from the manufacturer of what could be wrong is, I could have a refrigerant leak. And they said if the pressure is off by just a little bit, they said you'll have a hard time heating. And that now makes sense, knowing that pressure equals temperature. They said the reversing valve, which will actually switch it from cool to heat, could be malfunctioning, not opening. And the high pressure valve could not be opening. So it was those things. So based on what it was doing, my guess was that it was a refrigerant leak. But if you've seen my documentation up to this point, that's should be hard to believe because number one, I had a new outdoor unit sent to me because there was a malfunction. Yes?
We would never buy that again, right? Would we ever buy that brand? Or what
I probably wouldn't buy that brand. Well, then
do differently?
I would buy a nicer unit for sure. But the reality is some of this stuff that's happened really isn't the fault of the unit. Now, we did have a defective unit and they replaced it, which was good on their part. We saved some money when we bought the unit over a much nicer unit. We saved quite a bit of money. And again, I've documented all that in my install and some other videos about this unit that I'll link below. But the latest thing comes back to me. It was my install. Now, what's weird about it is, people came out here multiple times to start that system up.
They should have found it, right?
Yes. People come out here multiple times to start the system up.
In theory.
One of my purposes of having somebody come out here and not try to do that myself with the gauges, and I would have had to buy that equipment, number one. And number two, I'm no expert. So I thought, well, having somebody come out and check what I've done would be good. But everybody that came out told me, your install, between the indoor unit and the outdoor unit, no leaks, everything's good, you're good. And I was super excited about that, but also surprised because I didn't know what I was doing. But
I'm sorry.
Yes, dear.
I'm sorry. Can I disappear for a minute?
Go ahead.
And maybe you could just trim it out or something. But I got cornbread in the oven because it's Thanksgiving. So I just need to take it out. I cooked it and then it was not done in the middle. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
I know you'll miss me.
So, 3 visits and from 2 different technicians, and both had told me that the system, my install between the indoor unit and the outdoor unit, the line set that you have to hook up and everything, said that was good, no leaks. The second technician did point out that there was a leak internal to the unit, which I think there was, and we got a new unit and that was good. But and we made it through the rest of the summer. So when I come to this problem and I'm thinking in my head that it's a refrigerant leak, I'm thinking, well, how can it be a refrigerant leak? I've had a new outdoor unit now, and they've told me multiple times that my install, the line set is good. There's no leak there. So this guy comes back out again and he says, well, and by the way, this is the first time that anyone's actually opened up my install of the line set, which now, of course, I'm kicking myself not making sure that somebody looked at that in the past. But again, from pressure readings and things in the past, they told me my install was good. So this time he says, well, let's open it up. And he says, if there's a leak, when I take this cover off and when I look at you'll see a little oily substance. I guess that's actually the refrigerant leaking out. So he takes off the cover and he peels back kind of the insulation, and it's all wet. So there's a leak. So there's your answer. So good news is that's the answer. That explains why it isn't working. And bad news is there's a leak in my install, which I've been told 3 times was good so far.
Said,
so
I should have found this. The first guy should have found
He said the first guy should have found it. He said he should have found it.
Should we have gotten a discount?
Nobody found it. Yeah, if I had stomped my feet,
so.
I probably could have gotten him to give me some money off. But all I cared about at that point was that it would work.
I just wanted it to work. I didn't care.
And he's been really good about coming out here. He's not exactly local. He's a little ways away.
I just wanted my head not to freeze in the middle of the night.
So yeah, we were just looking to get it fixed. So what he did, He tightened down the flare connection. He put some little Loctite type lubricant on it. It isn't Loctite, it's a little something else, but I think it's specifically for these kind of systems. But he tightened that up real good and then evacuated the system again, filled it back up. This is like the third time, you know, we're starting from scratch again.
I'm covered in hair.
And we kick the thing on and hot air comes out. So I think the air we were getting out something like 115 degrees or something like that. So he had found before when he put his gauges on it, before he even checked for leaks, you know, it was putting out like 70-degree air.
There's a lot of hot air coming out right now.
So what I've learned...
Am I allowed to be funny?
We can laugh about it now. We weren't laughing about it a few days ago.
We can't catch a break.
But yeah, it's been a little rough, but it's better.
It's all right. It's not so bad.
What I've learned through all this, and you know, if anybody else goes through this experience, now I never did. I thought several times I considered buying a little, you know, gun that you can point, a little IR gun that you can point at the thing to see how hot or cold the air is, because we had kind of the same problem in the summer. We would, you know, we were hot and we put our hands up in front of that thing, and when you're hot, you put your hands up in front of it. You're like, that's cool, you know, is that good enough? What I've learned from this whole experience is if you're wondering whether the air is either cold enough or hot enough coming out of that thing,
it's not.
It's not. When it's trying to cool you, that air should be really cold, and when it's trying to heat you, that air should be really hot. You shouldn't really ever have to wonder. So if you're not sure, it's not working.
It's really cold today.
It's pretty
and
chilly
overcast.
out.
It's been sunny every day except for today, and the greenhouse gets like, it'll be like 90 degrees in there.
It'll get, well, I mean, that makes sense.
I gotta
It'll
open
get really
up the
warm,
windows,
but then
and then it's like 80 degrees.
It gets really cold. It's surprising. I didn't think it'd get as cold as it gets inside.
Yeah,
that thing,
I don't really understand how to work a
but
greenhouse
friends,
yet.
Bob and Karen said they actually cover theirs up with some blankets. We might do something like that too.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see. We haven't started to grow much yet. This is still kind of in its experimental stage. But
Are you finished?
I'm close. Oh, the only thing left now that the unit is actually working, because we're still on our sort of temporary solar setup, which we're going to remedy soon. I'm very close to buying equipment for our carport to put more panels and add some more batteries.
We need more panels.
We'll have a bigger solar system that we won't have to worry about using energy as much. I mean, we always will, but right now we're on a very minimal kind of energy setup, so we have to watch for things like heating and cooling especially. So we'll have to learn how to use this unit overnight without draining our batteries, you know, so I'll be watching the graphs of our usage that we have and everything to kind of follow it, to learn kind of how much it takes at different times and how much it cycles on and off and stuff like that. So that's the task we have left, is to really learn how to use it and manage our energy. So, but it is working. It will heat up the trailer, which is nice.
Can I tell you what happens when he starts rambling on like that? It's like on Charlie Brown when it's like, I don't know why my brain just goes somewhere. It goes somewhere else. My imagination goes somewhere else.
This is why we mix up our videos between kind of silly fun, and because there are people, I think, who want to hear all this detail that I'm talking about right now. I mean, if you're interested in a main split system,
but then there's other people like me who.
But if you're here for a good time, this ain't that video. but we do some of those too. So it's hopefully it's a mix of both, and that's what we try to do.
It's supposed to be informative, right?
But I have to talk about the details of this stuff because a lot of people want to know that stuff. I think so. So back me up out there with a comment to shut her up if you can.
You'll never shut me up. He tries.
But I think that's about it.
He talks a lot too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We've got some new neighbors across the way that just bought that we've been hanging out with a little bit. I'm sure we'll introduce them on our channel soon. They've got their own.
We're not going to introduce them now?
I can put a link. Well, I mean, we'll get them probably in a video sometime soon.
Bill and Yvonne.
Just wanted to mention that we have some new neighbors.
Is it Yvonne and Bill?
I'll throw a link to their channel down in the description.
They need some subscribers.
But we'll get them on here to say hi sometime. They're brand new. They're brand new to this whole thing. They're kind of just like we are. And similar to Green Dream Project, you know, Jim and Jessica at the Green Dream Project, they're making some serious progress over there. We're a little slow here, and these guys are just getting started, but they're another couple in the area that we can help out, and we can help each other. Our new neighbors. So go give them a look if you get a chance. I think that's it.
And I think Derek and Hannah, Handyman and High Carb Hannah, are going to come maybe play some games.
We're gonna throw a little cornhole today, I think. If it's freezing. I wish the sun
They
would
may
come out.
say
But,
it's too cold. Hopefully,
hopefully we're
they'll
going to
show
throw a
up.
little Thanksgiving cornhole here. And we've got our kids coming down actually to visit
Oh,
for the
yeah.
first time today.
Tim and Taylor are my
So,
kids, and they're coming down to see us for. This is the first time.
we'll be getting our first
They're
visit.
they live in Mesa,
Yep.
and anyway, I think
that's
that's
it.
it. Thank you.
We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.